me tell you how.
Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I've got the one, the only Taxman Bob Loza right here in my studios. He does a great job here for our program and keeping him out of trouble, but also keeping an eye on what's happening in the public policy front. Bob, welcome to the program.
Thanks, I'm here.
I know you were listening to Brian Darling there. Very brilliant guys there from the Heritage Foundation.
Very interesting. Two things that I came out with his conversation is I now with my right hand have grabbed my back pocket where my wallet is, and I'm going to hold it the rest of the day so that I don't lose anything that's left.
Yes.
Which is probably about $3 or so. You know? The second thing is, I hate to say this as to what he said, anybody that has the first name of Vladimir certainly can't complain about U.S. economy and taxes. Please.
With a name like Vladimir.
Vladdy, you're late for dinner. Yes, Vladdy.
With a name like Vladdy, you should just be quiet, right? Basically, is that your advice? Is yeah, but I tell you, though, it's kind of an interesting situation there. And you look at the political front out there, it does sound like the administration is looking at a policy of shenanigans as a way of, yeah, we're cutting your taxes, but you're going to pay more than you've ever paid before.
But interesting, we've talked about this, okay? You run your business, I run my business. We run our own homes and our checkbooks. If we overdrafted our account by $1.1 trillion, do you know where we would be right now? Behind bars.
That's exactly right.
Okay? So if you can't do it in the public sector and the private sector that we're in, and then you send these, as Bugs Bunny would say, these maroons to Washington, okay, to do what they're supposed to.
90% of the audience has no idea what a maroon is, but
in simple terms, that's moron.
There you go.
I'm not a moron.
Yep.
But simply sending them up to Washington, and then they hide behind their badge, so to speak, saying, well, I'm a senator, I'm a congressman, I don't have to do this. Wait a minute, if you went back home and you didn't balance your checkbook and you bounced a series of checks in your county in Georgia and Mississippi, wherever, guess what? The constable comes knocking at the door, says, is this true? And then they lock you up.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember back in 1993, the check-kiting scheme in the U.S. House of Representatives where all these Republicans had a bank account, in the U.S. House Bank, and they were writing checks like they were doing the federal money. And, of course, that's how the Republicans took over the House for the first time in 30 or 40 years because they were almost all universally Democrats. There may have been one or two Republicans. But you're right. You can't do that in your personal life. How in the world can you do that in your public life?
And for people, it would be like Ford Motor Company, GE, bringing in somebody off the street that has never managed a business and saying, you're our new CEO. Yeah. Lots of luck to you. And here, by the way, it's $2.2 million plus incentives of another $3 million. And you're sitting there going, wait a minute. You've never run a business, and no disrespect, but dear president hasn't even run a lemonade stand.
That's exactly right.
Okay, and we've entitled him, and I use the word entitled just like he does.
Yep.
Okay, we've entitled him to run this country at a profit.
Yeah.
Hello? Anybody home?
And not only has this guy not had any experience other than community organizing, whatever the heck that is, the guy is surrounded by people with comparable lack of experience. Only 8% actually worked in business, and I bet the vast majority of them were board members of large corporations without any tactical experience in business.
Correct. They just sit in the room, so to speak. And mind you, it's Democrats and Republicans. I mean,
it does.
Going back 20 years plus, I think the only president that surrounded him with people that were quite intelligent, and he could literally sleep during the day while these intelligent people was our infamous Ronald Reagan. Okay, he
understood delegation, didn't he?
Right. I mean, even George W. here, unfortunately, particularly his second term, just sort of coasted. He didn't have anybody around him that represented what the people wanted.
Yeah, and I have huge problems with Karl Rove, but let me tell you, Karl Rove was smarter than everyone that was left. When Karl Rove left, that White House went to total pandemonium. He didn't realize how important Rove was until he left. And I got problems with Karl Rove, but he was great at what he did in the White House. Let's talk real quickly on the taxes and the business front, because you're out there helping business owners and individuals, and we're already now halfway past February, well halfway, 2/3. Where should people be at when it comes to their taxes?
Well, you got 3 weeks to file, at least for a first extension, your corporate returns, S corporation returns, and some other returns. April 15th for partnerships and family trusts. So if you're going to say, well, I'll put it off for a couple weeks is going to come around real quick.
Fast.
And on the other side of the fence, we've insisted that our clients get with the program, and we've done over 65 corporate returns so far, and that's between January 15th and today, only because January 15th is when the software programs were accepted by the IRS. so that the software companies could print them out. And so get your organization together.
So the government has already put you behind the 8 ball a little bit.
Correct, because you don't get a chance on the 3rd of January to go, okay, I'm ready to run my business. You have to wait until they are ready to release the forms. And for example, this year for corporations, they were trying to instill that there were 2 line items for revenues. One that was generated from credit card companies, and one that was generated from your general business and 1099s. So it means that if you've got a credit card merchant account with Discover, American Express, Visa, and MasterCard, you have to wait for them to produce a 1099 to say, oh, yes, we handed you $142,312.11. Okay? They decided against that first year because they weren't ready for the program.
Yeah.
All right. The credit card companies are still sending them out. All right, but think about the costs, increased costs by the credit card companies, and who is that going to be passed on to?
Consumers, as always.
The consumer, or he who holds the American Express card, et cetera. Okay.
Right, and meanwhile, they're also increasing liability on banks for the bad behavior of consumers,
Correct.
Which means they're going to start getting rid of certain consumers to be able to protect themselves. And I think they're creating an entire underclass out there. You know, they're going to make low-income Americans feel like illegal aliens in no time. They'll have to do everything from money orders and
even brokerage accounts. I mean, oddly as it sounds, I deposited a personal check into one of my investment accounts and then called on Tuesday to say I'd like to buy a stock, and I was told that the check is on hold for 3 days.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It's my money coming from my other account. If you're questioning that my check is going to bounce, that's one thing, and I'm really upset about it. But if you're not, why do I have to wait 3 days to invest with you?
Yeah.
Okay. I might as well, do it through, a simple brokerage account, Ameritrade or something like that nature. So literally, I'm depositing it and I'm controlling my whole account now.
Yeah.
Okay. Not 3 days from now, not 5 days from now, etc.
Bob Lozer is his name. We get to keep him another segment, but before we let you go, I do want you to get to your phone number out there.
713-953-1272. 713-953-1272.
You're going to contact him because I tell you right now, you don't want to navigate what the government is doing when it comes to your taxes alone. And I tell you, this guy's proactive. He's a fighter, and he's funny too. So you got to love all those things. Those are great qualities. You can also contact him at taxmanbob@pdq.net. That's taxmanbob@pdq.net. I certainly know that email address. Great content coming up. One and only Stephen Wright with Wright Technologies. He's going to talk a little bit about how professionals are using his program and much more right here with Bob Lozer on The Price of Business.
We want you to know that the old methods to get new clients do not work. According to recent studies, business owners are spending more time than ever building their businesses, and they have less interest than ever when it comes to dealing with salespeople. So how do you get their attention in this tough economy? A new free report details a program used to profoundly open doors. It's been used on CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, famous entrepreneurs, and even national government leaders. Simply send an email to info@usdailyreview.com.
When you need to sell your home, you want an expert you can trust. Call Register Real Estate Advisors at 281-288-3500 for a realtor you can depend on. Haven't heard of RREA yet? Google us and see why we are nationally recognized for our innovation. We are one of the fastest growing real estate firms in Texas. We know how to make your home stand out from the competition and sell quickly and maximize your value. Visit us today at rrea.com to see how we sell houses. 281-288-3500.
The Price of Business is looking for your success stories. Are you an entrepreneur making it in this challenging economy? Have you developed a creative way to grow your business that you want others to know about? Have you developed smart and effective cost-cutting methods that bolster your bottom line? If so, we want to hear from you, and we might have you on as a guest. Send your story to info@usabusinessradio.com. That's info@usabusinessradio.com.
Summer is hot in Houston, and I don't want you to make the mistake I made. After months of not being used, I turned my AC on without inspection, and it wouldn't work. Fortunately, Mark Rendon and his team from DesignAirHouston.com came to the rescue. They were friendly, affordable, and fast. Call Design Air today to avoid AC problems or to solve them quickly at 281-469-6048, 281-469-6048. Again, 281-469-6048.
The U.S. Daily Review is a news website with a unique angle. Personal. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't be analytical, factual, and authoritative, but what it